Believe it or not, it's okay to lose at Football Manager. Now, I know what you're thinking. We all play the game to win. We all hope to have success. None of us starts a save or starts a project thinking that we're going to come out and fail right away. And if you've been watching my other videos, you think, boy, I'm really one to talk. I just had an absolutely dreadful season with FC Ingolstadt 04 and am ready to move on from that project and to start something else. So why then you would think, am I here to tell you about how it's okay to lose? Because the truth is, it really is okay in this game to lose from time to time. Look, there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind as you struggle along with Football Manager, because you will have times in which you lose, and you'll have times in game in which you think that your in-game job may be in jeopardy. You learn more from the failures you have in the game than from the successes that you have. It's really true. This is one of the reasons why I heavily warn against save scumming. It's easy to load up a game and then right before the end, when you see that you're going to lose or that the game's going to FM you, to quickly exit, reload the last save game, make whatever changes you want to before the game again, then play it again. I've done it before. And I'll tell you that as tempting as that might be and as much fun as that might look, you don't learn anything from it at all. You're just playing with a random number generator. Oh, great. So when I played this game with whatever random team it was a couple of years back, I was able to trick it into giving me like a 20-game winning streak. But it doesn't mean anything. I didn't do anything to earn it. There's no good that comes from that sort of thing, from forcing yourself into success. If you fail, however, and if you look back and say, well, maybe this was the wrong move to make, maybe the tactic wasn't as good as I thought, and maybe I can learn something else from it, you can get something positive from your failures. One thing that's important is not to stake your personal pride on your save. It's okay if you don't do well. It's not necessarily a reflection of how good or how bad you are, even as a Football Manager manager. I mean, seriously, it doesn't mean that much. The random number generator in the game is a random number generator. There is, as you know, a morale system in the game that can be very difficult to deal with, especially if morale is low. And a lot of things in the game are staked on in-game reputation, which is actually a pretty good reflection of real life. However, that does not mean that if you lost something, if you lost at your project, that all is lost and that nothing can ever be redeemed from it. Again, you need to learn from it. Remember, again, as I've learned here the hard way, that you probably need to have an in-game character who has at least some sort of reputation so that you can deal with players who otherwise would have a much heavier reputation than you. Remember that it's very difficult to come into situations in which you have multiple injured players or players who want to leave and no money at all to get replacements. It's the tricky thing, but keep that in mind before you think that failure at Football Manager and that losing means something about you personally. Now, another thing I want to tell you about, and this is, as you know, has been a repeated theme on this channel and in my blog, is that it is important to make sure that you are not playing this game to avoid problems in your personal life. I say that because I've done that. That happened to me a few years ago. I was one who was playing Football Manager for 8 to 10 hours a day, was obsessed with the game, and spent oodles and oodles of time trying to find those hidden secret new gens and trying to make my team better while ignoring everything else that was important in my life. I'm going to tell you that Football Manager is a fun game, but you can overdo it. I worry when I see content creators and other people who play a season in a week or less. I know it can be done, but I worry about this because this is not a healthy balance in your life. It's not even a healthy balance in your life if you've made playing Football Manager and creating content around it your full-time job, because there's more to the game than just playing one game after another. You can play maybe a little bit on the side and then spend some time working on tactics or trying to understand why some tactics work in game and why some don't. Yeah, perhaps some of them use an exploit, but perhaps some of them don't. Perhaps some of them are based, as Cleon writes about, on view from the touchline. Perhaps they're based on some sort of idea or some sort of theory or some sort of thought that maybe you hadn't thought of before. So watch out for that. Make sure that playing this game heavily is not a way that you have of coping with problems in your personal life. And the last point I really want to make in this subject is that if you are a content creator, if you're creating a blog, if you have your own if you have your own post on the Sports Interactive forums, if you're trying one of the big challenges like the famous Youth Only Challenge that comes around every year that gets dozens upon dozens of people to participate, if you're doing something like that and you fail, it's okay. It's okay. You can lose. You can fail. It's fine. In fact, losing in that position might be more attractive to your audience than winning. It's true. Think about it in terms of real sport, right? So, as you can hear, you can tell I'm an American. I moved to the Washington, D.C. area back in around 2020 or 2011. I became a fan quickly of the local baseball team, the Washington Nationals. Actually, 2010 when we moved around here. And I followed the Nationals when they weren't so good, and then suddenly they became good in 2012. Made it to the postseason, best record in the National League, and they lost in the first round to the St. Louis Cardinals in a fifth game that was just an absolute heartbreaker. And it stung, and boy, it didn't feel so good to lose that way. But guess what? After losing that game that way, my fandom and my interest in the team increased. It didn't decrease. And that's the truth about these games. That's the truth about Football Manager, and that's the truth about you as a content creator. If you lose, if you are unsuccessful, and if you struggle, and if other people see you struggle and see how you respond, it is possible that you might wind up being more popular and more successful than you think. So, for those of you who are curious, this is probably the last that we're going to see of this save. I am now unemployed after refusing to meet with the board to discuss my future as we lost 7-0 in an absolutely ridiculous match. The manager of München was very, very happy and was going to reward his players. Max Diekerhoff had a really bad game for us. Gave up, how many goals did he give up? I think he gave up 3. No, he gave up 2 goals in that game. I still think he was a good signing, but yeah, it didn't work so well. Fans criticized the 4-3-3 wide tactic. I mean, I suppose they can criticize that if they want. We were getting more offense. The problem that we had, again, was in the back. And I have not gone to the press conference, and my contract has been terminated, and that is the end. Now, we have a choice here. We can do one of two things. We could either continue with the save, go over into the job market, and look and see what it is we can find if we really want to. Sorry, there's the job center here. Go sign Mbappe, apparently. Probably not. I'm not quite sure why he shows up in that screen. So we can look here and we can say, okay, so, are there any sort of managerial jobs that are available that we can look into? I don't know why I list everything if you can't actually apply to be like coach. It wouldn't be much of a Football Manager game if you had the role of coach, right? We can do this, or we can start over again and look for a new save. Now, since I am sort of the dictator of what happens here, I will tell you, spoiler alert, that we're going to start over a new save. And we're going to try with a different approach in a different geographic area and sort of see what we can do and see if we can get a little bit more of the creative juices flowing and get a much better story going on. As much fun as it would be to go over and manage like Tübingen or to manage another one of these sort of Württemberg or Bavaria teams, go to Würzburg or go to Albstadt or something like that. Much fun as that would be, I think that we have an idea for something else that we can do here in the meantime. And we're just going to keep on moving forward. So again, my apologies to those of you who may have been interested in the save. I'll tell you that as interesting as the save may have been, there are a couple of mistakes I think that we made at the start that we might be able to remedy this second time around. But don't worry too much because we'll be around for more, and look tomorrow for another new save starting. And with that, I will see you tomorrow and wish you good luck. And like I said, once in a while, if the game's really getting to you, if you're on a losing streak, don't keep playing until you win. Take time off, turn the computer off, go do something else, go read a book, go watch something, step away from it, and then come back to it, and you can come back to it with new eyes, and maybe you'll think, oh, this is what I should do, or maybe you'll think, maybe it's time for a new save. All right, and with that, I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.